coping.
Okay, that's good.
I have been coping. I hope you're on top of things in terms of assignments. If they were to say that submit tomorrow, you can actually submit tomorrow.
No, I can't submit tomorrow.
Okay, I think we can start. Obunolo can always join us, but these videos are going to be uploaded on Core Campus. Just that there are so many videos, so I'm busy uploading on YouTube, them on YouTube. Then I'll send the links to Francisca.
Okay.
Yeah. So we continue with the environmental analysis, the pestle analysis. We looked at the political forces. We looked at the economic forces. We look at technologies. So in today's lesson, we are going to look at legal forces. We are also going to look at social forces. And in between, we are going to have some case analysis, case study analysis, so that you can have a sense on how these forces can be analyzed whenever you are coming up with a digital strategy or a digital marketing initiative. So we spoke about political control. We spoke about democracy on the internet governance, taxation, as well as social media and political change. I even gave you guys an example of Uganda, where they text you to be online. So at the end of this lesson, you need to be able to understand data protection and privacy law. You need to be able to understand disability and discrimination law. You need to be able to unpack brand and trademark protection. You should also be able to describe intellectual property rights. Intellectual property as well as advertising law. So that's before. There's a connection between political forces and legal forces. But this shouldn't confuse you. You need to know that politics has to do with governance, whereas law has to do with any legislation that is tested in the court of law. So that's the difference between political forces and legal forces. So these are the terms that you need to be familiar with, and the key concepts that you are going to be looking at as this lesson progresses. So there are ethical standards, privacy, some they call it privacy, identity theft, personal data, and malware. Which term or which word there do you feel like it's new to you and it can be difficult to describe or explain it?
I think I'm familiar with all of them actually.
Okay. Good. So these are things are going to be unpacking as the lesson progresses. Internet keeps saying, okay, before we start the lesson, how do you think legal forces influence digital marketing?
How do legal forces influence digital marketing? I think you know, there's a lot that marketing can do to be unethical and, to to not be very to not have very high moral standards in certain marketing. So I think there are laws there to regulate them, and that's how legal forces influence digital marketing. They have a limit in terms of what they can and can't do because there are laws that govern such.
Okay. All right, that's correct. So it's something to do with compliance. One or the other, you need to comply with the rules and the regulations of a given territory. Because remember, the digital community that we spoke about at the beginning of the year is boundaryless. So there's no country that can claim territory to the digital community. It does not belong to South Africa. It does not belong to the UK. Anyone who's online can behave in whatever way they want to behave. But we have got brands, we have got companies that are registered from a certain territory. For example, Take a Lot can be trading online from their comfort zone of Cape Town. So they are a company that are registered in South Africa. So it means that the way they conduct themselves online must adhere to the South African laws. They need to adhere to um, the South African legislation. If they do not do that, or if they get involved in unethical conduct, or if they get involved in things that are not morally viable, they can always be condemned within South Africa. So that's why legal forces do shape the marketing environment of any given brand. Also, the way data, because when dealing with online customers, there's a lot of data that is mined, that is extracted from customers. Think about Take a Lot and the addresses that it actually has at the moment. People's physical addresses for shipping. So the way they handle that data, the way they communicate with their customers based on the data that they have to be very careful with that data, because there can be data breach or malware attacks or anything that can compromise the sensitive information that they have. Think about the cards, people who pay online, card payment, they leave their details there. So there's a lot that has to do with breaches and how regulations and laws can be used to safeguard that information. Hi, Obonolo. Obonolo, can you hear me? Okay, we can proceed.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, yo.
Okay. You seem to be shouting. Are you at the ground, at the stadium?
Yo, my dog is barking so much. That's the reason why. So I'm shouting at her. Sorry.
Okay, all right. No, the way you responded, you were like you are in danger. So that was that was a concern. South Africa is never safe. You can be on the streets, being online and communicating with us. Then all of a sudden, someone is asking for your phone. You know how it is in this country. Anyway, welcome to the class. We actually haven't started. We are still on the activity for the class. So I'm actually now starting. Laws are developed in order to provide a framework of control and regulation that aim to enable individuals and brands to go about their business in an ethical and legal manner. However, laws are open to interpretations, and they are ethical standards, but the rate of technology innovation is rapid, and consequently, law becomes okay. I think I'm back, guys. As I was saying, so realize that with many digital technologies that are emerging, you'd realize that some laws become unclear. Think about softwares like Chat GPT. If it offends a user or if it insults a user, who is liable for a criminal charge? Or these self-driven cars, the self-driven cars, if it crashes into a building, or if it hits a pedestrian, who is liable, guys?
I'm not sure who would be liable, but I'm sure, like, when you're signing the contract, they would stipulate in there those types of clauses.
Mm. Okay, but can you see how confusing and unclear it is whenever there's a new kid in the industry?
Yes.
Okay, so marketers need to tread carefully, since unethical action can result in serious damage to reputation of a brand, and negative sentiments can result in a reduction in online traffic or sales. So the first one that we are going to look at is data protection and privacy laws. So in your textbook on page 116, there's a table there that highlights the significant laws that control digital marketing. And on the next table, which is on the next page, there are also types of information collected online that are related to technologies. So remember, these laws they are they can be redundant because of the new technologies that are emerging there, but you can still be testing if you violate those laws. So when it comes to data protection, guys, do you guys know about POPI Act?
Yes.
POPI Act. What is POPI Act and what is it all about?
It's the Protection of Personal
POPI.
Information Act.
Mm-hmm.
And it like holds institutions accountable for the manner in which they handle their clients, personal information.
Okay, that's correct. So according to the POPI Act, the information that an organization collects, it must use for that specific purpose of its collection. So if you are a company that deals with services, the information that you have about the customers has to do with deliveries. So if you've got information about shipping from your customers, you only need to use that information for shipping purposes. That's what POPI Act is all about. So you see, gone are the days whereby companies, even though some still do it, but it's illegal. You'd see companies are having information about their customers, then they sell it to third parties and they use it for other purposes. Once those third parties use that information and they contact you, you can sue them for that because you did not give them permission. The only permission that you gave was for shipping purposes. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yes, you are.
But you know, in South Africa, we keep receiving SMSs about products, about insurance, and sometimes you ask yourself, who gave you my number? So those are the POPI Act is one of the data protection and privacy law. Then we have got disability and discrimination law. So these are laws relating to discriminating against disabled users who may find it more difficult to use digital platforms because of audio, visual, or motor impairment are known as accessibility legislation. So because we live in the digital era, it is also obligatory to accommodate people with any natural impairment that could be an obstacle for them to be able to be online. So think about this class. If we had someone who has got poor vision or someone who has got a form of disability to an extent that they cannot attend this lesson virtually, arrangements could have been made to make sure that those people can access the content the same way that a normal person would access that content. So digital platform accessibility refers to enabling all users of platforms to interact with it regardless of disabilities they may have or the web browser or the platform they are using to access the site. It's quite tricky, guys. Just like with the buildings that you go to. Do you know that according to the South African laws, all buildings, public buildings must have wheelchair access? Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, all of them, be it the more, they need to accommodate people with wheelchairs. But I've been to many buildings where there are only steps, and it would be difficult for someone who is disabled. So it becomes very difficult to implement these discrimination laws. But if you find someone who is capable of taking you to court, then you can be liable. You can be liable, especially for the damages or for the opportunities that person missed out as a result of not being able to be online the same way a normal person would be. Then we've got trademark protection. What is a trademark, guys? Do you know anything about trademarks? Is it your first time to hear the word trademark?
No.
So what is a trademark?
A trademark is when you make something like untouchable, like other people can't use it, like maybe a brand name has been trademarked, then other companies can't use that name, or else the trademark company can sue.
Okay, that's correct. Think about Coca-Cola. It's written TM, trademark, so it's trademarked, it's protected, and you can never use their recipes or their logo or anything because it is a protected invention. So these things, they do matter a lot in digital marketing because we are the one who are the face of the brands. We are the one who come up with digital marketing messages, and you cannot violate other people's trademarks that are protected, especially when it comes to domain name registration. So, for example, Boston Media House, it's bostonmediahouse.coza, if I remember well. That domain name is registered and it's protected. So there's no way you would find another company written bostonmediahouse.coza unless if it's a .com or it's a .org. But we are going to talk about domains next semester when we are going through website registration. There's a lot, guys, that we are going to learn, such that at the end of the year, you'll be able to come up with your own website. You'll be able to know what an IP address is, what is a URL link is. The reason why there's domain name registration is because there are so many criminal or malpractice practices on the internet, and you would want companies to have their domain registered so that tomorrow there's not other Boston Media House which is scamming people, then pretend to be the Boston that we know. So this can lead to reputational damage, and also it is necessary to monitor brand conversations in social networks and blogs. So you need to make sure that whenever you are dealing with digital marketing messages or digital marketing queries, you need to make sure that you do not offend a competitor. Remember, guys, we did competitor analysis. Then we've got this one that is very interesting. But before we speak about this one, can someone tell me more about IP? Or do you guys have an IP that you are protecting? Oh, Nolo, I'm sure the puppy has disappeared now.
No, she's still here, but I'm listening, sir.
So we are learning together now.
Yes, no, I'm here.
Okay. So intellectual property, guys, is very relevant, especially for you who are going to be working in the marketing industry. Why? You need to protect your idea. So intellectual property is all about protection of an idea or an invention. Remember, sometimes we'd come up with a digital marketing strategy, and unknowingly it can generate billions for the company, while you are only earning 5,000. Do you know that, guys?
Hmm.
So your work as a digital strategist is to come up with strategies that generate sales for the company and position the company better in the face of competitors and so on. But all of a sudden you come up with a brilliant strategy, and that strategy, starts generating billions for a company while you are earning 5,000. So that's the challenge that you normally get, especially if you've got a brilliant idea. And sometimes if you are just a junior or an intern, you come up with a brilliant strategy during brainstorming, but you actually don't know how big or how marvelous this strategy is. Then your boss, someone you report to, takes it as their own and they present it to someone at the top of the hierarchy. And that person also take that idea as their own. At the end of the day, it becomes the marketing director's idea. It was created by an intern or by a junior person. A junior person took it to the manager, and manager presented it to the director as if it was his. Then the director presents it to the shareholders as if it's his. All of a sudden, that strategy is generating income. And the person who is being recognized is who? The director. and you continue earning your 5,000. How's that, guys?
It's very heartbreaking.
But do you know that it happens in this industry?
Yes.
Do you know, guys, that this happens in the industry?
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to be very familiar with IP, because it's something that it's going to even affect you. Guys, do you know about Vodacom? The guy who invented Please Call Me at Vodacom, and he ended taking it to the court and was paid millions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Even the Nike one, the one that
Oh, I
created
didn't know
the.
about the Nike. Can you please share?
Yeah, it's a similar story. So the person created the Nike logo, this Just Do It thing, and then they just went on like it was created by them. So similar, it's very
Mm.
similar to the Vodacom one.
Yeah, so these things, because remember, in digital marketing, we spend a lot of time brainstorming and coming up with strategies. But sometimes you can come up with a good strategy. And unfortunately, the executives, they are always selfish. So you need to find a way of protecting your invention, because it doesn't make sense for me that we came up with a brilliant strategy and it's generating billions, and the company can't consider enough to give you at least 1 million of that, and they just keep paying you that 5,000 with no bonus. That's so selfish.
But can I ask, but sir, how do you,
Mm-hmm,
like you said, I'm an intern. I just
mm-hmm.
got to start with the company 3 months in. How do I implement this IP thing? I don't understand how, like in a real life situation, how would you go about?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You copyright it, you keep the original drafts. For example, recently, I work for a magazine. So that's what I do. I work for a magazine. But my boss wanted me to come up with, to set up the ethical guidelines for a certain company. So that was my own work. And once I came up with the ethical guidelines, I made it clear that it was compiled by me. So on the original document that I submitted to him, I left my signature there, and I also had some track record on how you don't submit this, but just keep the stuff to show that it's original. You are the one who did the work. It's always tricky, especially if you just present your ideas in the boardroom and you do not have a paper trail on how you came up with that strategy. Remember, if a strategy is yours, no matter how good or how someone can copy, they can never know the direction of that strategy. So you need to make sure that your name is there, especially if you are submitting a paper trail. Because what happens when you're in the boardroom, you talk, you say these things verbally, and they ask you to put something in writing. Am I making any sense of Nolo?
You are, sir, but I'm just thinking that maybe, for example, with this whole Vodacom thing, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
were like probably in a meeting, an informal meeting,
Mm-hmm.
having a discussion, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's do this please call thing. You didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time to think about it. You didn't have time to write it down. You understand? So I'm just thinking, oh,
Yes. So if
yeah.
it's verbally,
Mhm.
it's tricky, because even the people you are with, sometimes they can be bribed and say that it's not you who came up with the idea. I get you. But in most cases, the moment you mention to the team verbally and unofficially, you mention that actually you can do a please call me. They ask you, how can you do it? Can you please put it in writing? So when you put it in writing, you need to include your name there and submit it. And I know they are going to take off your name and make it appear as if it's coming from them. But remember, you have a version that you submitted. I know that that guy had his own version, his versions that he had with regards to the police committee. That's why he managed to win in the court of law. Remember, in the court of law, you cannot win if you do not have evidence. Evidence matters when it comes to any crime that has been committed, you know. But it's always tricky. There's always a silver lining behind it. As well, remember that sometimes the company can hide the finances. You know, someone can tell you that this strategy is generating 5 billion. All of a sudden, the company, they will give you fake finances saying that no, it's actually generating much as you thought. So it means that you also need to prove that your idea is actually making more money for the company. Something that can be tricky. Ogunola, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. But I'm going to give you guys an example anyway. Let me just read this before I take you to the example that I want to mention. So intellectual property rights protect designs, ideas, inventions, and include content services developed for e-commerce sites. Closely related is copyright law, which is designed to protect authors, producers, broadcasters, performers by ensuring that they see some returns for their work every time they are experienced. So to realize that in most cases, someone would use your work without giving you any form of credit, and all of a sudden they are making money out of that work that you yourself have worked so hard to come up with that work. So it's always good to make sure that you have protected your content. So there's a journal that I wrote with other co-authors last year, if not in 2020. So it's a journal article that I wrote out of the research. And it shows that I'm the main author. So whenever that journal is sold or is used for financial purposes, I need to get something out of it. Let me try to search for it. I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, by A. Banda. That's me. This is Taylor and Francis. It's a publisher. And here we've got Sabinet. It's also said by A. Banda. So let me open the Sabinet one and open this Taylor and Francis. So you see, I'm the leading author there, and there have been 130 views, and there's one person who have used it as a reference. So here you cannot read it. You need to get access, and they are selling it. So if I click on get access, it comes here to the below. Do you see how much is being sold? It's being sold for US $50, and here it's US 58. That's Taylor and Francis. Then we go to Sabinet. The same documents. It's also, I'm the leading author there. let's see how much this one they sell it for. Let me try to download it. Let me just click here where it says PDF. Okay, I clicked on PDF. Can you see the amount?
Yes.
If you are to view this article for 48 hours, you need to pay 25 US dollars, which is more than 250 rands. And article per view purchase is $40. So this is my work. I contributed to it. So do you think it's ethical for them to make money if I do not get anything from that?
No.
So if they are generating more money or they are doing something and there are no agreements between me and them, I can always take them to court, or together with other authors that are there, we can always take them to court. So do you see how copyright and IPP work, IPR work, guys?
Yes.
But I also do understand where Obunolo is coming from, because at least this is something that is presentable. It's something that is on paper. But what happens if it's verbal? You know, that's how I would see people fighting or suing others, saying that you wasted my time. You say that you are going to marry me. Think about You Marry Me program on Moja Live. You know, there's nothing on paper that say that I promised to marry you. Then all of a sudden we've been dating for 10 years. Or maybe I leave you for someone else and you'll be like, I was wasting your time. You spent 10 years under the pretense that I was going to marry you because I said it verbally, but I did not say it on paper. So these things depend with the type of the lawyer or the evidence that you have. Otherwise, sometimes you can actually lose your IP if it was done verbally and there's no form of evidence. And in most cases, it will be a very big company that has got enough resources. They can fight you in court and you lose the case. Any insights on IP before I move on?
No.
Babe?
No, sir.
All right. That sounds very unprofessional, you know? No, man. No, that's so unprofessional. You see, if I say Muhammad, it makes sense. It's her surname. But the moment you say babe, I'll end up being fired. You know, remember these notes are going to be posted on core campus. So someone can report and say that I was calling a student babe.
No, they'll just go in the system and search babe. They'll find me.
Are you sure it's babe? It's not Barbie.
It's babe, sir. Like for the last time.
Is it like that on your ID?
Yes, it's BABE.
Do you trust that, Razia? Do you believe that?
Please don't drag me into this.
I can just imagine someone saying the vows. Let's say it's a wedding. Like I, A, B, C, D, taking you, Obunolo, babe. It doesn't, I know. You need to change your surname, honestly. You need
No,
to change your surname.
I feel like I'm used to it because literally everyone calls me by my surname.
Okay.
So I'm really used to it. People hardly call me by my name.
All right. I think they just find it curious like me. You know, after calling it, I just feel like, no, something is wrong. Anyway, let's move on, guys. Then we've got advertising law. So advertising standards that are enforced by independent agencies also apply in the internet, especially if you are registered within a territory like Nando's. So Nando's can not do whatever it does it once on digital platforms and not be answerable to the advertising standards that it ascribes to. So one particular challenge of online advertising for consumers is that marketing communication must be obviously identifiable. So I want to play an ad for you guys that shows unethical advertising. I hope I'll be able to find it. Okay, I'm quickly searching it. It's on YouTube. Says McDonald's. All right, here you go. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
All right. Now?
We can see it.
Okay, please listen attentively and take observations.
Never seen the sky so blue. The birds are singing, I got nothing to do. Hey, 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 it's just a sunny day. La-doo-da-ba-da-da. Ain't no clouds up in the sky. I dream them up and watch my daydreams go by. Hey, 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 it's just a sunny day. Ain't got time to worry. The sun is gonna shine all day. I'm not gonna hurry. You can tell the company they can keep my pay.
What did you observe there?
They blatantly used Burger King's branding.
So to see that this child, whenever he wanted to have his McDonald's meals, everyone was all over his place taking away the meal. And he could not have peace eating or having his meal. Then he looked for a Burger King gift bag or a Burger King brand. Then he put that and hiding his McDonald's behind Burger King, and he managed to eat in peace. Meaning that people don't love Burger King, but they love McDonald's. Because after using that Burger King bag, no one bothered to take it away from him. So that's what the advert is all about. Here in South Africa, are not allowed to advertise like that because here they are sort of disregarding and disrespecting Burger King. They are saying that no one can love Burger King, for example. But if you've got McDonald's, you know, you can enjoy the meal and everyone will be all over your place if you've got McDonald's. You are not allowed to advertise like that in South Africa. That's why you see brands like Domestos, they can always compare Domestos with brand A or brand B. They don't mention their competitor. There's no way Sunlight Liquid can make its advert by disregarding a competitor. I don't know if you've come across that, guys.
Yes.
So these are the advertising laws that digital marketers must well aware of, especially when it comes to competitors, and also where it comes to existing laws such as discrimination. You cannot uh, create marketing messages that incite societies, that cause racism, or that attack someone's sexual orientation, and so on. Otherwise, it can always lead to legal ramifications as well as damage to brand reputation. Sometimes you can even be blacklisted as an employee, and all of a sudden, no one can employ you anymore. So, in conclusion, laws are developed in order to provide a framework of control and regulations that aim to enable individuals and brands to go about their business in legal and ethical manner. However, laws are open to interpretation as discussed because the digital environment is so huge. And also with the rate of technology innovations, laws sometimes can become unclear. But these are some of the major laws that marketers should take note of: the data protection and privacy laws, the disability and discrimination laws, the brands and trademark protection laws, intellectual property rights, as well as online advertising law. So these are the legal forces that we've looked at. There are so many legal forces that you need to consider that were not mentioned in this lesson, such as identity theft. It is easy for a digital marketer to steal someone's identity and use it for the purpose of digital marketing strategy, especially if they know that identity is going to yield more metrics than they would. For example, stealing the identity of Caspar Nyovest. There are so many parody accounts on Twitter. Do you know a parody account, guys?
Yes.
There are so many parody accounts on Twitter. So identity theft is also a legal aspect that one needs to consider when doing environmental analysis for digital marketing. There are so many legal aspects that we can always look at, but these are the ones that we have managed to discuss on. Are there any questions?
No questions.
No.
Okay. Now we need to do a case study analysis. So we spoke about the theoretical conceptualization of legal frameworks. Now we need to bring them to reality. We need to look at a case that we can analyze from a legal point of view. So let's quickly move on to lesson 32. Okay.